Hello, everyone, and welcome to Evolve with Angela, Mind, Body, and Soul. I am your host, Angela Y. Irvin. I'm so honored to have you here again and to do another broadcast tonight with high conscious conversation. For those of you that are here with me for the very first time, welcome to the show. I know that you're going to enjoy yourself. If you have been here before and you're a returning guest, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tonight, we have a very hot topic. A lot of you have asked me, inbox me, text me, emailed me, and asked me about when are we going to have the lady to come on who's going to talk about the sex and the spirituality, the connection between the two of them, and the importance of strengthening that connection. Well, tonight is that night. We have Yesterday. She's going to be with me tonight, and she's going to have a very candid conversation with all of you all that are tuning in from wherever you are tuning in from. And we're just going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to relax. We're going to hear the discussion. We're going to talk. We're going to engage in a very, very intriguing conversation. So tonight, I know without a doubt that you will be tremendously blessed. So I'm going to invite you now to go ahead, share the broadcast with your followers. Share it with those that are part of your friend list, that are in your email list. Go ahead and invite them to join in on the broadcast with you, because I know that you're going to be extremely blessed. I invite you also to go ahead. If you're not already following us on Instagram, you can follow me at I am Angela Yvonne on Instagram. If you're not following me on Facebook, you can follow me at Angela Y. Irvin. Those are my social media handles. That is me. I don't have any other pages. That is the page that you can follow me on. If you'd like to stay connected with us a little bit more to find out other details that we don't post on social media, I invite you to send over an email to admin@Angela White Irvin so that you can become a part of our email list. We send out weekly emails about different things that we're doing, upcoming events, just the ins and out, behind the scenes stuff, the important, juicy things that we do not disclose on social media. So again, that email is admin, ADMIN, @AngelaWhiteIrvin.com. As you're joining in on tonight, go ahead, leave in the comment section, number one, how you are doing, and number two, where you are tuning in and listening from. We have people that join us from all over the world, and we just want to connect with you, know where you are, and just to say hello from whatever part of the country that you are tuning in from. Again, if you go to my social media handles, I want you to type in, when you send over a request or when you go in there, just tag me in the post that you're doing and saying that says, I am evolving with Angela. That's the tag. So whenever you're putting a tag out that talks about Evolve with Angela, the broadcast, or when you're sharing this broadcast with your followers, tag me in it. Tag I am evolving with Angela, because that's what we're doing tonight. We're having high conscious conversations. We do that every Wednesday, and I mean, I don't know if you guys are excited, just as excited as I am, but I tell you, I look forward to these Wednesdays at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I plan my entire day around this time because, like you, I'm listening and I'm in tune. I'm tapped in. I'm listening to what the guests are saying. I'm taking down my notes too. I don't want to miss anything. So I'm preparing my week in advance, started on Sunday. I'm already thinking about Wednesday and how we can make this better, how we can do this better. Who can I bring on? We have people that are lined up throughout the summer. And if you know anyone that you think would be a good guest to be on our show, I ask that you would go ahead and send that information over to admin@angelawhiteirvin.com. I'm going to give you an opportunity to just come in the room with us and relax your mind. I'm going to ask you to do something for me. If you're just now tuning in, go ahead and take a couple of deep breaths in and just let that out. Take one deep breath in, real nice and slow. Breathe in through your nose and let it out. Do that again. Breathe in through your mouth and let it out through your nose. Come on, one more time. Release. Come on, I want you to exhale, and then I want you, to inhale and then exhale. Release and let it go. So breathe in and let it go. Whatever you had going on before you got on this broadcast tonight, shake all of that off. See it leaving you right now. See it going away from you, the thoughts. And we just center your mind to be here, to be focused, to be tuned in. No distractions, none whatsoever. We want you to connect with us as we're connecting with you. We want our synergy to be in alignment. We want us all to vibrate on that same, or if not similar frequency. So go ahead and relax. Get yourself in a relaxed state, a relaxed state of mind, a relaxed position. So don't you feel better after that? If you did those breaths, do you feel better? Were you able to release? So tonight, again, we have my wonderful guest, Yaside, who's going to be on the line with me. And we're going to talk about sexuality and spirituality, the connection, the importance of strengthening that connection between the two of them. I'm going to read you a little bit about Yaside's bio. Just tell you about her. Just off the top of the bio, or off the bio, I'm just going to tell you what I perceived about her. She's a very sweet young lady. I don't know how old she is, but she's a young lady. And she has a kind and gentle spirit. She's a gentle soul. She's like what we probably have heard this term have said, she's like a sleeping giant that most people probably have slept on, but she's fully awake. And she knows who she is, and she knows exactly what she's doing and what she's talking about. I invite you not to sleep on her, because she will be doing great things in the days to come. And I believe that you would see her face and hear her name in some other places in the days to come. Yep, I believe that. I know that, and I feel that for her. So Yaside A. Davis is an intimacy doula residing in East Texas. She is the founder of Get Your Bliss, an organization developed to guide women of faith to an improved sexual, spiritual life through her private Facebook group, Intimacy Guidance Readings, and signature program, Nectar. That's Nectar. Yaside utilizes her psychology, writing, and ministerial background to aid her in her work as an intimacy doula. Yaside is also a decorated Amazon best-selling editor. She has had the honor of doing developmental editing for Amazon's best-selling authors. Isn't that fantastic? So, you guys, if you have a book, probably that you're reading from one of those bestsellers, she's probably the one that did the editing for it. So I know that she's here with me already, and I know a lot of you have been waiting and anticipating, and I'm not going to prolong her from coming in. Yestide, are you with me?
I am. Thank you so much for that beautiful intro.
You're absolutely welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking your time out to be on Evolve with Angela Mind, Body, and Soul. I'm honored that you decided to be here with me today. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. It was a beautiful day here in my part of Texas. So I'm doing really, really well.
All right, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, is there anything that you want to just share with the audience about yourself other than what I have already shared in your bio? If not, then that's absolutely perfectly fine. But just give you an opportunity if you want to just disclose anything about yourself, just some of your unique qualities, and tell us about your writing and your editing that you've done for some best-selling authors.
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, I'm going to start with my age because I'm proud of my age. I'm
Okay.
actually 40 years old.
Okay, awesome.
So
Awesome.
when you say young lady, I just chuckle.
Okay.
But I'm actually 40. I've been told I look younger than that.
You do.
And according to my grandpa, he passed last summer.
Oh,
According
okay.
to him, it's because of his good genes
Okay.
that I look so young.
He's probably right. He's probably right. Thank you, Grandpa. That's awesome.
But as far as editing, that is something that I enjoy doing. Um, the first book that I was an editor on is called Broken Little Pieces by
Awesome.
Kismet Tension, and it
Okay.
is on Amazon. That was the first book that I edited, and it went number one
Oh,
on
wow.
Amazon.
That's
So it was
so
exciting
lovely.
for me as the editor and for
Hmm.
her as the author. And so that's kind of how that started. I've always been a writer. I was the
Hmm.
little girl sitting in my room, excited to have an electric typewriter, sitting in there writing short
Mm.
stories all day.
Oh, wow.
And I actually have a master's degree in writing. So
Mm.
it's kind
Wow.
of my thing. One of my
Awesome.
things. I have many talents.
Awesome. 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 Well, I'm excited to hear you say that you have many talents because I believe that we are all are birthed into this earth realm with multiple talents. And sometimes,
Yeah.
one seems to stick out a little bit more, become that dominant talent. And so we kind of lean on that one a
Hmm.
little bit more. But I believe that over our course of our lifetime, our journey, if we were to go back and trace and do that inner work and trace back our journey, I believe some things that
Hmm.
we carried over to this present moment were things that we had back then. And I can personally say that about some things in my own life as well. So that's awesome that what you're doing, and as far as editing and helping other people get their manuscripts and their masterpieces or their vision that they've seen in their mind on print. So I think that's totally awesome. So, but we're going to ask you some questions
Thank you.
about the intimacy doula. What exactly is an intimacy doula?
Well, I took on the name intimacy instead of sex doula, which
Yeah.
people started out calling me a sex doula, but I wanted to make it known that intimacy is more than just sex.
Yes.
So I adopted the intimacy part of it. And as an intimacy doula, I guide women into their truth about sexuality and spirituality while helping them see that connection because it really does shape our lives, especially
Okay.
when we get in the flow of that connection. So a
Okay.
doula is a word that people may know, which essentially
Mhm.
means a guide for women.
Mhm.
You may
Mm-hmm.
have heard pregnancy doula, postpartum doula,
Yeah.
end of life doula. So I'm an
Mm-hmm.
intimacy doula. I guide women through the realms of intimacy.
Oh, awesome. So was this something like a course that you had to take to become this? So if, if I say myself, not that I want to, but wanted to do this, or someone that's listening wanted to do this, is it a course that you take to become this, or how did you come about with this?
There are some courses that you can take, but it's not anything required
Okay.
in my state, at least. But just like with any occupation, you do want to further your education. So there are
Mm-hmm.
courses. The National Black Association of Doulas offers
Okay.
Sex Doula 1 and 2,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and they're
Wow.
doing it online right now due to COVID. So, before COVID, you had to go to Atlanta, but
Mm-hmm.
now it's open to everybody virtually. So
Okay.
that's cool.
So you mentioned that you help women um, to better understand their sexuality and the spirituality. How what exactly
Mhm.
do you do, and like what is your clientele base? What do you do, and what type of clientele?
Well, my clients are mostly Black women who
Okay.
are still identified as Christian or maybe coming out of that, but it's mostly
Okay.
people who are or have been in religion, the Christian religion.
So do you find that you have more of those women versus any other type of
I
uh
do.
okay. And why do you think that that is?
I believe that is because a lot of women are most suppressed through religion,
Mm. So just what are
especially
some
in
ways?
the realm of sex.
Hmm. And what ways, what are some things that you have heard from your clients, as far as sex suppression? What are some things have you heard from your clients?
Well, we all know that if you're unmarried, you're supposed to ideally wait until marriage.
Hmm.
So for those who get married and are virgins, they kind of go in blind because
True.
they haven't even had that discussion. They may have gone through premarital counseling, but when they got to the sexual part of the counseling, it's mostly just the wait till you're married, your body doesn't belong to you anymore, the biblical aspects.
Hmm.
But other than that, they get nothing. So they're really going into it kind of blind. And then for those who were not virgins but have been indoctrinated, when they finally do get married, they're just so closed down. It's hard for them to open up now that they lawfully, I have my air quotes, they lawfully can have sex. They're kind of like, they're just clammed up
Hmm.
because of what they've been taught. So
Hmm.
it's a lot of stuff that I work through. And the way that I do it is we start with self intimacy, getting to know ourselves. And one of the first things we do is start to kind of work through those beliefs and decide if, hey, this is something I really believe, or this really isn't what I believe, it's just what I've been taught to believe. So we break through
Hmm.
those barriers first of beliefs and go
Hmm.
from there.
So do you find that, say those that are in the Christian background and those that are seeking, do they come to you, I'm sure, like in private, they don't want people to know because of them in the religious background?
Yeah, they do. They come in private. I have a private Facebook group and they talk a little more in there, but even then I have more activity in my DMs than in the group sometimes because people are still kind of, you know, not ready to
Mhm.
just be out there, even within a
Mhm.
private group.
Mhm.
And we talk about all of that. Why do you feel like you need to come privately, which I'm okay with and I understand, but I want to walk them through the process of why am I afraid? Why am I kind of a little ashamed? What am I scared of when it
Mhm.
comes to just talking about sex and intimacy? and any issues surrounding that.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, see there, you mentioned something that I think is um so important. I'm gonna kind of like paraphrase that
Sure.
there are women, who are virgins and they get married blindly. They go into marriage blindly, because of the religious um, propaganda or the religious programming. And then once they're in that marriage, they realize that they were not prepared for this. They were not prepared
Mhm.
to engage in sex. And because sex is not talked a lot about in marital counseling in the Christian culture. And I can say that for my own self, when I went through my marital counseling, sex was like the very, very, very last topic that was talked about. And I think that needs to be one, if not the first, one of the first topics that is discussed. No, I'm serious because to me,
Definitely.
for some people, sex is like is a deal breaker. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say it. Sex is a deal breaker for some people, and people may say, "Well, that's kind of shallow. You're getting married for sex." Most people that have gotten married for sex. So let's just put that out there. You
Put it
got
out
married
there.
because you wanted to have sex with someone, so you got married, and you didn't want this thing of saying, well, I'm gonna die and go to hell, or
Right,
the fear
right.
tactic that was given to most people was that if I don't have, this ring or this governmental paper and I engage in a sexual encounter with someone, then I'm going to go to hell. God's gonna be mad at me. He's gonna punish me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So most people who got married, they got married so they can have sex
So they could have sex.
legally without the
Yeah, what
condemnation
they view
that's
as
attached
lawful
to it.
sex.
Exactly.
Yes.
So let's just put that out there. So then they get married and they get married blindly, thinking that, okay, well, this is the right way I'm doing this, and but then they realize I'm not happy with this sexual experience.
Come on now.
So
Yes.
what do they,
You
what
was
do,
gonna say
what do they
yes.
do? I'm not happy with this sexual experience, and some of them don't even want their husband even looking at their bodies.
Yeah, I run into a lot of that. They're in love with their husband and all that, and they can't stand for him to look at them because they've been taught to be ashamed of their bodies.
Absolutely, and there is no sexual compatibility.
Hmm.
Have you
And there may
ever
not be
have you
compatibility,
noticed that
but
with
they don't
your?
even know because they didn't even have a conversation.
There you have it. And I think that that's so important to have that piece brought from the end of the counseling session to the very beginning. Because if you can find out from the, because you need, that's to me, sex is important, financial is important, mental intelligence is important. You need to be compatible every in every area, that's
Hmm.
important to you. I'm not going to say what's important to me may not be important to you, but what's important to you, that needs to be important to the person that you're going to marry as well. Otherwise, you're going to find that you have this high sex drive and they do not. And you're going
And
to
they
find
do
yourself
not. Come on now.
that you're sexually frustrated because you're not getting satisfied the way in which you feel like you need to be satisfied. But because the
Hmm.
church has told you that your body as a woman is not your own, so you got to go and do what the man says, and you have to sit there knowing that you're not sexually satisfied and be in a relationship for years that you don't want to be in because you're not satisfied with this person that
And there
you're
you
with.
have it. Yeah. And I get so much of that. We in church, I'm gonna put it out there, I am not Christian. I am very conscious. And
Absolutely.
but I was Christian. I grew up Christian, Pentecostal denomination. And so we were taught to focus on being equally yoked on
Hmm.
a spiritual level,
That's
but you
really
need to
good.
be equal on a sexual level.
That's very good.
All that goes together.
Yes, absolutely. That's very, very good. I totally agree with that. I totally agree. So, what is the connection between those two, the sex and the spiritual?
So what I teach women is if they really tune into themselves, get intimate with themselves and how they flow, they will notice that, for instance, if you're in a healthy sexual relationship and it's consistent and you're getting your needs met, your spiritual life will also come together. Your money will come together.
Mm-hmm.
Things start to flow
Mm-hmm.
together. You can't have one without the other. If one of them is out of whack, then the other one is going to be out of whack too. Because we have sat, and for me, I'm going to say me, I sat in church for years trying to give it my all for the Lord. But on a
Yes.
sexual part, I was still so disconnected and miserable.
Yes.
Just miserable. But then I felt bad for being miserable because, I was on the highway to heaven, but I
Yes.
wasn't having no sex. So I was miserable. And then you're taught to feel bad if God is not your everything. If you're
Mm.
single, God's supposed to be your husband. He's supposed to be enough. He cannot kiss me
Yeah, absolutely. That's not, and that's a lie.
or
That's,
hold
I mean,
me
that's just,
or do
yeah,
anything
absolutely.
that husbands do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's a lot to unpack.
Absolutely.
But that
Yeah.
connection is very fluid, and sexual energy is the creation energy. That's why people make babies. That's how they make babies, with that sexual energy coming together and infusing, and then boom, baby. You
Mm-hmm.
can use that sexual energy to manifest things in your life. Manifestation
Absolutely.
is a spiritual concept.
Absolutely.
And then the
Absolutely.
more authentic you are, like
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that, I am a single woman, but I also love to have sex. And I can say
Mm-hmm.
that openly and confidently. That is like, my spirit team is like, all right, so we're going to raise you up some more on a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual level. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a connection that is so is strong when we are allowed to make the connection, and it's fluid. And as women, we are so some of us are so disconnected from our sexual energy, period.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ask somebody who doesn't have that connection, they'll ask the question that you asked. What does that mean? What do you mean sexual spiritual connection? It's because they're disconnected. But once they work with me, then they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I see that. I know what you're talking about now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's really, really good. So, how do they make the connection? If they're disconnected, how do they become connected? How do they make that connection? Let me just say this. If I can go back, I want to say something. Um, Good evening to everyone that just tuned in. Hello there, Terrence. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. I want to say this um, about having sex. And you said it very well that sex is the highest energy and sex is for manifesting. And I teach people that that's what sex is for. I believe that, and this may be a high number, but this is just a number I'm going to use, that 99.9% of human beings or people in the world are having sex the wrong way. And I believe the
Probably.
majority of society is trapped in the root chakra, the physical dense consciousness, and they never really understand or even come to the realization that sex is the most strongest prayer, if I can use that word, or language or energy that we
Mm-hmm.
can use to perform and increase both the masculine and the feminine energy. And as you
Mm-hmm.
said, sex is for manifesting. Sex is for bringing things or for procreating, not just babies, but to bring a business together.
Mm-hmm.
Because when two people come together in the Bible, when it talks about um, the man and the woman came together, it was talking about the masculine and the feminine energy. So when those two energies came together, or they said the man and woman, the masculine energy come together, they and those two became one. They became one energy, or they became no longer two thoughts, but it was one thought or one energy manifested. So your thoughts are masculine, and then that female, your sexual energy is feminine. And when those two things come together, that's when the intensity of that sexual energy begins to increase when you're having sex. But if people don't have that mindset that this is what sex is all about to manifest, then you're going to continue to have sex on the low level chakra because you feel this urge to have it, but you're not doing it. You're not appropriating it the proper way to manifest. because you're conscious
Mm-hmm.
of, you're conscious of the organs. You're conscious of her breast, or his size. You're conscious of that more so than you're trying to heal the person that you're with. So it's not just about manifesting, businesses, but when you're getting with someone, sex is called sacred energy exchange. So is that person healing
Yes.
you? Are they healing you? Are they bringing your chakras evenly to the divine chakra or the crown chakra, which is the divine chakra? Or are they just having, and I'm going to use this word, hood sex because it just feels good for that moment? You
Mm-hmm.
laughing at me? I'm so serious. So,
And what you're saying is so true, and that's that spiritual aspect when you get into talking about your chakras and
mhm,
opening those up and balancing them. When you now you can manifest through sex solo, but it's a whole nother level when you have a partner
yeah,
and you are utilizing the energy of both of you, and then you're moving up from the root all the way up to the crown. And when you
mhm,
hit that sacral though, that and for
yes,
that's the womb area for women. That is that
mhm,
creative sexual center for women.
yes,
And then it just keeps going from there. And women will say they want a spiritual experience when they have sex, but they have
mhm,
to be open to what that means. They
mhm,
have to let go of the moral code that they may have been taught, all those barriers. If you want to have spiritual experiences, you have to let spirit do what it does, and it will take you. Okay, I'm gonna be a little candid. I was with a partner who I love very, very much. I was in a cloud of glitter. That's where I
mhm.
was.
Cloud of glitter.
Because a cloud of glitter, and the room, like, it seemed to light up, and he saw it too. He was like, what is happening? I'm telling you.
Mhm,
It can give you that spiritual awakening
yes.
when you are allowing yourself to be the sexual being that you are. But when
Mhm,
you are indoctrinated,
mhm,
you're trying to have an awakening that you're not able to access because you're suppressing part of who you are, a huge part of who you are.
mhm. Absolutely,
And you're
and that
wondering why
goes back.
things just not quite right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, 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 very good. Absolutely. And that goes back to what you said before. Women and men, but mostly women, say they want to have a
Absolutely.
sexual experience during sex. And that's what the religious doctrine saying, well, you have to get married to enjoy sex. That's your sexual experience. And it's so much broader than that. We have to
Yes.
move our focus from focusing just on the physical body during sex. We have to
Mm-hmm.
also focus on the energetic, the inner, INNER,
Mm-hmm.
energetic world, and take your eyes off of the physical aspect. And then you can have
Mm-hmm.
those floating in the glitter. You say glitter,
A cloud of glitter.
a cloud of glitter. Then you can float on a cloud of glitter. Love it. You can float on a cloud of glitter. But if you have that, still have that religious mindset, it's gonna block you, and because you got to get past, that trauma within not just
Mm-hmm.
yourself as a female, but as that man too. You have to
Mm-hmm.
get past that trauma. Um, that he had picked up over his lifetimes if he was never in religion, or even if he was in religion, he has to pick away or deal that inner work on himself to heal that religious trauma and that
Yeah.
blockage that blocks them both from energetically being charged, because sex is supposed to energetically charge. It is one of the highest energies outside of love. Love is the highest frequency. Sex is the highest, one of the highest frequency as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely
Yeah.
right.
So, and when it's not used properly, if anything that's not understood becomes abuse. You abuse it.
Correct.
And that's where we have a lot of abuse in the sexual aspect when it comes to people just having sex from this partner, that partner. They over here. and they are abusing their bodies, and they're getting with anybody because they're trying to fulfill a need, which is really
Mm-hmm.
a spiritual need, and they don't understand that this is spiritual. And people think, well, there's nothing spiritual about sex. Excuse me, yes it is.
Yeah, and I was talking to a friend today, like people in church are they're taught, at least I was, oh, sex is spiritual in the aspect that you're creating a soul tie with everybody that you're with before you're married. And that's about
Right.
as spiritual as they get.
Exactly. Yep. So
And
break it
it's so
down.
much
What's the
more
other
that happens.
what's the now what is the aspect of the sexual or the spiritual aspects of sex now that you are conscious? Because I used to buy into that narrative too, but I don't buy into that narrative anymore. So
Hmm.
what is your thoughts on that?
For me, I can now have, well, I've always enjoyed it in the moment, but then as a Christian, there's that brief moment where it's like, oh my gosh, please don't let me die right now while in the middle of this.
Absolutely.
And then there's the remorse later, or if you don't feel bad later, then you were taught to feel bad for not feeling bad for sinning willfully. And
Mm-hmm.
so all of that stuff, it does not apply to me. I
Right.
don't fear hell. I don't fear dying in the middle of sex and going to hell, or creating a soul tie just because I'm not married. So when
Mm-hmm.
with that weight lifted off of me, I can enjoy sex in a way that I've never been able to before,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have to worry about. And I was married for a little while, for about 3 years, and I didn't have to worry about, as a married woman, I didn't have to worry about, oh, I'm married now, so we can have lawful sex,
Right.
but there's still these other things we can't do even though I'm married. I don't have those worries anymore either. Because
Mm-hmm.
depending on the theology, you may be taught that some some acts between married people are sin and you're going to hell. Everything is hell. Like, take away hell, you're gonna get yourself free.
Absolutely.
Yeah, period. And
Absolutely.
I work with people through that cognitive dissonance that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when they have those, what they really, really in their heart of heart believe and know is right for them versus what they've been taught to believe and what they've been taught is right. And they're
Mm-hmm.
battling between those two things. I had one
Absolutely.
client who was abstinent for a while, but that was her choice, not out of fear of hell,
Mm-hmm.
but, and these were her words, she had so much spiritual stuff to unpack before
Mm.
she could even get to the sex part. She didn't want to be with someone and have these sermons playing in her head about her going to hell.
Mm. Wow.
That's that
Yeah.
spiritual stuff that she had to unpack. Oh, this
Mm.
person isn't my spouse, but I love them and I know I love them and I know they love me back, but we're going to hell. Why?
Mm.
So she had to
Mm.
unpack all that. And I do work, every now and then I'll get a guy who wants to talk to me, or a couple
Mm.
who wants to talk to me. So I didn't want to leave the guys out.
Mm.
Just to let y'all know that I have worked with men, and they have their own stuff too.
Mm.
They have the pressure of, they're just supposed to magically know
Right.
what their spouse wants.
Absolutely.
And then as women, depending on where your theology was, we were not supposed to explore our own bodies. We're just
Mm.
supposed to let the man discover what pleases us.
Mm.
I advocate that we know ourselves.
Absolutely.
I know what pleases me already
You're right.
because I take the time to explore my body
Right.
through self pleasure.
Mm. Mm.
So then a man has all that pressure of, oh, I need to know all the things about her.
Mm.
Some
Mm.
stuff you can just tell him. Some stuff is fun to explore together, but for the most part, we need to know ourselves. He needs to know
Absolutely.
his body. I need to know mine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that goes back again to the religious or your theology,
Hmm.
that you were
Hmm.
brought, that you came from up under, or your culture. Some, and maybe in some
Hmm.
households they didn't
Yeah.
It was prohibited. And you can't, some things you can't, self pleasure, you can't do certain things with your own body. And so some things people don't do because of, again, fear of going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And take away that hell doctrine that was man-made anyways, from the very beginning. You take away that, if you do your research and you find out who created the hell doctrine, you'll know that this was just put in here for a fear tactic. It is a control mechanism, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
it really is. And it has controlled the man and the woman, in every area of our lives. And sex, what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about tonight, it has controlled, the both female, masculine. I'm sorry, masculine and the feminine energy. It has controlled both of them. And I just believe people need to be free. They need to be free to be themselves and to
Yes.
understand who they are, because it's as what you just stated, is it could be very difficult for a husband or your partner to be with you and try to figure out, like putting a piece of puzzle together and the pieces are scattered all over the place. You don't really know what you want, but you're not satisfied. So how can you tell him what you like?
Mm-hmm.
And you need to
Mm-hmm.
discover that for yourself. So that's been very, very good. So how does someone break free from sexual trauma that's associated through their culture or their theology?
Well, for me, I just made the decision that I'm done here.
Yeah,
That was the first
that's what
thing.
I did. I did that too.
I'm done here. And then I
Hmm.
just started working through um I just started working through beliefs one at a time because it's
There you go.
definitely a process.
Hmm.
And I use this example often because it's simple. I grew up Pentecostal. We're taught you're going to hell if you're a woman and you wear pants.
Mm.
You're not
Wow.
saved if you wear pants. So I had to decide if that was really what I believed, which it wasn't. But in
Hmm.
order to try to avoid hell, I tried to conform to that.
Hmm.
So just breaking down each and every belief. Like, you know what? That one was easy. I ain't never really believed that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on my pants.
You're right.
And just doing it like that, that's really how you begin to break away. You just decide, you know what, there's nothing left for me here. Or you
Hmm.
can decide, I still enjoy church or whatever, but I'm gonna use my own mind. I'm not going I'm not going to allow, the pastor to dictate what I do with my body. I want to
Hmm.
reconnect with my intuition, because what I found is that the the stricter denominations really suppress your intuition,
That's
and
very
then you
true.
don't trust yourself. So that's the next thing you have to do, is begin to trust yourself in your decision making.
Mhm. That's very true. That's very true. I think that one of the most important things you said at that segment was to you have to make a choice.
Hmm.
And it starts with there, making a choice. You can't be religious and be conscious at the same time or awaken at the
Hmm.
same time. It's impossible. So you're going to have to make a choice that's best for you and your spiritual journey, because this is an individual journey that we're all taking. And we're not telling you that you need to, right now go ahead and leave out somebody else's place, but we
Right.
can, leave out to divorce your husband or to leave that religious church. We're not suggesting any of those things, but we are suggesting that you need to start thinking for yourself and what's best for
Yes.
you. Like Yaside said, she made the decision to that it was over, that she wasn't going to do it anymore. I made that same decision many years ago, that religion was not something for me, because I saw what it did to me. I saw the
Hmm.
damage that it caused to me and the trauma that I had to, as you just said, take each thing one by one and begin to deconstruct that
Mm-hmm.
one by one. And it was a process. Sometimes that process can be very painful, but
Correct.
it's necessary for where you desire to go if you want to absolutely truly break free. And I'm going to see if anyone that's listening while we're still talking to have a question, because I want to give people an opportunity to ask a question if they want to ask a question now.
Yes, I love questions.
So,
But
mhm,
while we're waiting, I do want to just, agree with you that we're not telling somebody to just, oh, you better leave right now. I didn't just leave church right away. I left
right.
my Pentecostal denomination first,
Mhm,
and then I ended up going to a non-denominational church.
mhm,
And then I was like, I hit a plateau, and I was
mhm,
like, okay, I'm not getting anything from this. But then when I got married, my ex-husband wanted to find a church, and when we moved to a new city, that's what we did. And I was like,
mhm,
okay, fine. And I hit a plateau there because I don't. There's too much for me to explore and to learn. And while in church, they tell you, to go deeper and higher and all those things. If you
mhm.
get too deep and too high, then it's like, no, you're starting to dabble. Come back.
Yeah, yeah,
And I don't want those kind of restrictions on me.
right. Mhm.
So that was my
Absolutely.
process. And then and about 3 years ago, I was like, I'm done.
Mhm. Absolutely. 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 Yeah, and the saying goes, you need to go deeper, or you need to have a relationship with God, or you need to spend time with God, or get into the presence of the Most High. Those are
Hmm.
false sayings. Those are what we call Christian. It's a word for it. I can't think of the word right now. It'll probably come to me hopefully before the end of the broadcast. But those are Christianese. That's what it's called. That's Christianese. And so it's like a
Yeah,
whole language that the Christian community has. There's no such thing as getting in the presence of God. God lives within you. There's no such thing
within.
as
Yeah,
getting closer to God or spend time with God. When you spend time with God, you're spending time with yourself.
spend time with yourself.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just sit with yourself. You don't have, because God, and that's the illusion of separation, to where people think God is somewhere far off from us. And it's not far off from us. God is a high consciousness. That's all God is. It's a high conscious energy. That's not far from you, but dwells within you if you awaken to the reality that it exists and has always coexisted within your being, within your body, within who you are. And you cannot even live and have access in this earth if God did not exist there, if that
Hmm.
spirit was not there. And so we have to break away from all of this religious programming and mindset
Yeah.
that we have been, given, and just begin to just vibrate a little higher, go higher. And I believe that's why your consciousness, or people's consciousness, or our consciousness, stays in lust and are only able, going back to the sexual part, to be aroused by the physical because of the religious
Mm.
programming. Even people that are in church, some of these people, they hide, they have on the long skirts, like I posted on my social media the other day.
Yes.
But honey, those skirts, up under that skirts, them women are hot.
Okay, I got pregnant 4 times.
There you go. And some of them men are hot. Men are
Oh yeah.
they're high up on with them clergy collars on. They know that
Yep.
they want to be with a woman. They know they have a desire, but yet they have been told to suppress this part of what it's okay. You are human. You don't have to suppress the fact that you want to have sex with someone. It's okay to
Hmm.
admit I have a need. I mean, God made you with that need. But what we're saying
Yes.
here, you need to understand the proper use. It's not just for to arouse you physically, where you, like, again, you're looking at the sexual body parts, but it's to bring you into a higher frequency, to manifest,
Hmm.
um to it's like a sexual, energy exchange or charge, or go through your body, with orgasm, really intense orgasm, if you and the person that you are with are both in the same or similar frequency. And so that's why I posted on my social media some time ago. You better make sure that this person and you are vibrating on similar frequency. And people probably were thinking I was talking about spiritual, not just spiritual, but in every area. It has to be a
Yes.
similar frequency. And sex is one of those areas because I think that's extremely important. So I'm gonna see if I don't see any questions. And I know we probably seem like we're kind of like jumping around a lot with the topic tonight, but I believe that we have said some things here that you can take away with you and perhaps go and do your own research. That's what we really want you to start to do because I believe that a lot of times we are fed truths or we're given the truth and we need to go study the truth for ourselves. We need to go uncover
Hmm.
and discover the truth for ourselves so that you can have not just the information, but you can get the revelation, you can get the impartation. It becomes your own life experience. And that's what we want you guys to do, to have your own personal experience in this. We just laying down, just get, yesterday just gave some, great nuggets. And, if you were listening, you heard what she was saying. And you had to listen to what she was saying, but she brought it and she delivered it. So I don't see any questions on my end. Yesterday, would you like to tell the people how they can go about getting in contact with you and connecting with you if they are in need of your services and your
Yeah.
social media handles?
I am on Instagram at Get Your Bliss. If you are a woman, I have a private Facebook group, and you can request to join that by going to joingetyourbliss.today. And then my website is getyourbliss.today. And on there, you'll find a couple of services. I have my intimacy guidance readings, and those are readings that I provide using oracle and tarot cards, surrounding your questions and concerns about intimacy. And then my signature program is Nectar, and the next round of Nectar will be starting in August, and it's an 8-week program, and it's a self intimacy program, and you can find that on the website as well. And then just my personal Facebook profile is Yeside A. Davis, and Yeside
Absolutely.
is Yeside.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your information with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're quite welcome. I'm glad that you accepted the invitation to be with me tonight and to share with the guests all that you shared with us. Um, I know that as for me, I was tremendously enlightened, and a lot of things that you spoke tonight resonated with me. And for those of you that want to connect with her, I invite you to do that. I invite you to connect with her. If you're a female, she gave you all of her plugins as to how you can go about reaching out to her. We wasn't going to go into detail as to how to have that experience, like the graphic details, because I believe that's something that you could do in private with her if that's what she wants to take.
Hmm.
You're open for that, or something that you and your partner need to engage in. So we're not going to go in that, but I will tell you that your breath is important. Breathing is
Yes, it
important,
is.
and that's extremely important. And
Hmm.
that's the flow of the energy, the chi. But that's all I'm gonna say. That's the life force. I'm trying not to go too farther more into it,
I understand, but
but
yeah.
yeah, she can go and she can take you down that journey, or you can do your own study and you can discover it. You and your partner. I think that would be something great that a great way to build intimacy with your partner if they're open to it. And begin to explore this sexual energy. exchange, this sacred energy exchange, this high sex that causes things to manifest. I
Yes.
have a friend that shared with me some time ago that when he and his partner got together, when they were together, he and her were together, that it always rained. Not I'm not talking about no little storms, but like torrential rains. It doesn't matter what city they
Mm-hmm.
were in. They would go to different cities, like on a vacation or whatnot. And this is just conversation because I talk with people and I have deep conversations with folks because
Yeah,
I'm
me
into
too.
inquisitive. I want to know, and
I
if I'm
want
studying, yes, I'm studying some things. I want to know, like, hey, have you heard
to
this before? And my son, one of my sons asked me something the other day. He said, "Have you heard of this?" And he said, "Sexual energy exchange, mom, about this type of sex." I was like, "Yeah." I said, "What do you know about that?" He said, "I've been doing some research and I've been studying on it." So people are awakening to this,
know.
guys. It's not just something that we just come up with. Y'all
Mm-hmm.
see, they just came up with this thing. No, this is a real thing, and it is.
It is.
You're gonna get tired eventually of just coming together and just banging. That's
Yep.
the good sex. Who wants that? But you want something that's going to take you a little bit further where you're manifesting. And if you've never experienced it, then it's something you and your partner can say, we done experienced something I ain't never experienced with nobody else before in my life. And you will know when you have because you, like my guest just stated, you're going to have them little glitter in the clouds. You have glitter in the
Cloud
clouds,
of glitter.
a lot of glitter. So we,
Ooh,
we won't
child.
get it,
Okay, go ahead.
we won't get into the details. But if you want to reach out to her, I've never been through any of her trainings or anything like that. I've done my own research because I wanted to know going into a relationship. I have a man on here that says that he's going to contact you
Okay.
and he wants to open up some issues. I know who he is, and
Okay.
if he doesn't reach out to you, I can make the connection between the two of you. If he doesn't get the information to do so, but
Okay.
yeah. So we left out a lot of information, things that you can go and study for yourself. I certainly hope that you were tremendously blessed tonight and that something resonated with you. I may have you come back again and we can talk about this again. If you that are listening tonight, you thoroughly enjoyed this conversation and you want her to come back again, put that in the comment section. That hey, we want her to come back again on the show. We want her to bring her back again so that we can go a little bit deeper. And then just let her know that you appreciate her tonight and everything that she brought. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you for being my listeners. Every single week you come and you dedicate 1 hour of your time with me on Wednesdays. And I'm grateful. I'm just honored that you decide to be with me. And each and every week, I always offer you the opportunity to connect with me via email. And I give up my personal email at the end, which is info@AngelaWhiteIrvin. And my website is www.angelawhiteirvin.com. You can connect with me on those outlets. If you are looking to um, have a mentor or someone to help you along your spiritual journey, reach out to me. I don't have a problem with doing that. I would love to be able to connect with you and just to learn more about you. You can learn more about me. So, if no one else has any other questions, I'm going to bid you all a good night and namaste. And I love you.
Namaste.
Be still, let go of the things that I thought were real. The veils lifted